Alrighty, so this studio kind of picks up where the last one left off and has us do some validation on the user model that we talked about on Monday. So the first thing to do is to add some of the annotations to our user model. You can see the rules that they've got specified here for us, saying things like username, password, and verify are required. And so, we just need to fire up our user model and start adding these in. Username said was required. That's going to be not null, I believe. It did not say the email was required, but a password is required, so I'll put a not null. It also said that verify was required. How do we do that? It's already kind of a trick, right? Verify is not part of my model. That's just part of the form to create a user. So it's a little bit of a red herring there. We don't actually have anything to do. That's not part of our model, so we can't run validation on it. In fact, later part of the studio talks about that in a little bit more detail. The verify field is something that we're going to have to treat a little bit differently because it is not part of our model. So we don't have to do anything about it right now. It does want a size constraint on username between 5 and 15 characters. So we can actually take a look at the cheese model here and see, we can borrow this size, put it on the user name. Okay, just wanted to import size and it's at 5 and 15, I think. Yeah, 5 and 15. Email is optional. So for that one, what do we have to do? Nothing. And then this one, it wants the format of an email address, and they included a description here of how we can do that. I hope you clicked this link and took a look at this documentation. This is actually a long file, but really, we don't need to read the whole thing top to bottom. That's not what we're interested in. We're just interested in how do I validate emails. So you can kind of scan this a little bit. I'm sure it's probably not far from where we linked you, or you can probably just, I thought I would see it, but I haven't seen it yet. Or you can just do a Control F and type in email and see that, okay, there it is. It's called @email. That seems reasonable to me. That's not one that we saw in the prep work. We didn't have any email addresses to worry about in the prep work, but if we want to verify that it follows the email, we can put that in. You can see that it's actually, whoops, what just happened? Sorry, I don't know what my computer just did. Give it a second here. Hopefully it'll come back. Please. There we go. Sorry about that. We can see, well, we could have seen before my computer broke, that it actually is referring to, if I can import it, referring to the Hibernate library that was just mentioned in the prep work, or the studio, I'm sorry, not the prep work, the studio. So that's a little bit different than the other ones that we've seen, but works basically the same way. Is that it in terms of annotations? Let's see if there's any other. The password and verify fields match. That's not something we can do with annotations, and the description says as much, so we'll have to deal with that a little bit later. The password is at least 6 characters long. We can do that with an annotation. That's just the size annotation again. So I can put that down here, and we don't want a max size, but we do want a min size of 6. So remember that when we're doing validation, there's 3 pieces. There's the model, the view, and the controller that we have to worry about. And what we see up here has taken care of the model piece. We still have the view and the controller left to deal with here. Are there any questions about annotating our model before we hop on to the next part? All right, so then we're going to talk about the Well, we're going to take a little dip into the controller, but then mostly do the view next. So it wants us to pass a new user object when we render the add user form. This is a very similar thing to what we were talking about with cheeses in the earlier example from class today. So in my user controller, since we're dealing with users, we'll go ahead and there we go. Put in that new user object. So the reason that we're doing this again is why? Why are we doing this again? Why do I have to pass in this new user object? We're going to go take a look at the view next. And what's this user object going to do for us in that view? Yeah, we're binding it to the form. Yeah, we're binding this model to our view. That's exactly right. And that's our next step. That's our next destination, is to go to the view and set up the binding code, which again is going to look pretty similar to the binding code that we saw in the prep work and also in the exercise from earlier today. So we'll go ahead and open up our add user template here. And we need a few things. We need our object, which is going to be user. And then I need to associate the various fields of this object with the inputs of my form. And so we can come, we don't actually need this name attribute anymore, since we're going to do a th field. Oops. Equals, and we're using our star notation because that's how we refer to the fields of the object. I believe it's actually called username, if I'm remembering properly. Username, we'll do another one for email. And we'll do another one for password. Again, remember, we can't do one for verify because that is not part of our model. It's just part of the form. So we're going to have to treat that one a little bit differently, which for now means, not really touching the verify input at all, except I do want to change these to be password. I should have done this last week, actually. But I'm fixing it now because I remembered. I'm trying to think of what else we need. I've got the object, I've got the fields set up. Am I forgetting anything? Got the object tied to the form, I got the fields tied to the various fields. Oh, we need the errors. Yeah, we need the errors tags. So I'm going to borrow those from the cheese that we did earlier. Here we go. Here's an errors for us. Just borrow this one. And I'll need one of these for not every input, because again, the verify one needs to be treated a little bit differently. So this one will say username, and then I'll do one for the email. Here, and then I'll do one for the password. Oh, that was password. Whoops. Thank you. Which one did I skip? Oh, I did skip email. I just scrolled too far. Email. Okay, great. All right. Anything else I'm forgetting? I think I'm doing okay. So then, we've done that. So then we need to do we've done the view side, so we've got the model, we've got the view. The last piece that we need to worry about is the controller. So this is going to tie it all together. So we need to make sure that we are telling it to do the validation on our user object, and the way that we do that is by including the valid annotation by that user object. So if I go to my, where did it go? User controller. So here is my user. I want it to do validation, so I'm going to add the valid annotation here so that it will perform validation on that object. I need to add the, whoops, didn't mean to click that. I need to add the errors afterwards so that if there are any errors, we can detect that and treat it accordingly. And notice that again, because verify is not part of my model, it's still just kind of hanging out here at the end. And we actually will be able to deal with that now. But let's deal with the validation first, since that's what the main goal of today is. Or actually, we already have the validation for the verify from last time. We did this last time, right? We already had that. So we just need to add some validation for the model validations. If errors.has errors, this follows very similar format to what we did before. We need to add the user attribute back in. User. Return user/add. I think we're ready to try it out. We've hit all three pieces. We did the annotations in the model, we did the binding for the form and the view, and now we have done the check for any validation errors in the controller. Those are the three pieces. Yeah, what's up? Do I need an error message for what? So if it fails one of the annotation validations, it will generate an error message for us. But you do bring up an important point, which is what's the error message going to be if it doesn't do the verify piece, right? Because again, that's not something that we can validate using those annotations. That's something that we're validating ourselves manually. So I think you're right. Did I restart this? I can't remember if I did or not. If I restart this and check, I think it'll put in error messages for most of what I've got, but I don't think it'll put in an error message for the password validation. But let's try it and see how we're doing. And then we can take a couple minutes to see if we can fix that real quick. All right. Almost ready. Looks like I closed the tab with my thing on it. User add. Okay, so the form's up. So let's try some validation on the username, like A is not good, and it also needs to be a valid email address, so that's not good. And then I'll type in a password. So size must be between 5 and 15, not a well-formed email address. Size must be between 6 and, oh, my password can be 2 billion characters long if I want it to be. That's good to know. Anybody know where that number comes from? It seems kind of random, doesn't it? That's the largest possible int that Java can represent. Java can represent numbers larger than that, but if I want to represent numbers larger than that, I can't use an int. I have to use a different data type. That's the largest value that an int can be, which is good enough for a lot of things, right? But anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent. So the validation worked for these three, right? The last thing that we need to verify real quick is, if I type in legitimate values here, but I fail the verification, right? Oh, shoot, what did I do wrong there? Password wasn't long enough? Yeah, that's what I did wrong. Thank you. Okay, now it's long enough, but they clearly don't match. And you can see that it did kick me out, right? It didn't let me make the user, but I don't see the error message. That's the one piece that we're missing. So how do we fix that? Anybody have any ideas how we fix that? It's actually something that we could have done on Monday, but we ran out of time. But we have time now. We have just enough time, I think, actually, to do this. Anybody have any ideas on how we would fix this? Yeah, what's up? Do what now? Add the, where I add the minimum, I can put the message. So are you talking about like here? So I think, so you can add a message here, that is correct, but I believe, when is this message gonna come into play? It'll only come into play with the password size. It's not gonna do the, I'm worried about the password and the verify not matching. So this message I can write, but it's not gonna help me with the verification piece. In fact, the verification has been sort of off on its own the whole time, and the error message for that is true as well. I have to do it myself. The validation's not gonna help me here. I have to do the error message myself. So one way we could do this is to actually, we can use a span for the error message, but I can't tie it to a field from my object because I don't have one. Is that an extra div tag? I think I have a bunch of extra div tags in here all of a sudden. Oh, that's cheese, shoot. I'm not doing cheese, I'm doing user. That's my fault, sorry. Sorry, having trouble copy pasting all of a sudden. So for the verify field, I can put in one of these tags for error messages, but I can't tie it to a field because I don't have one. I don't have one. But what I can do instead is introduce a new variable. Call it th text, and then just do error. Right? Just do a th text with an error variable. This variable doesn't exist yet, but I can go into my controller, and if I detect that I need to set a value to that, I can include it in my model. Error, password, and oh, I forgot the quotes. Password and verify must match. Okay? So let's try that. I do have to restart it real quick. Hopefully, if this works, it should be the last time that I have to restart it. We'll see. Is it even going? Okay, it just took a second. All right, so hopefully this will be the last time that we need to do this today. I'm gonna pick a good username and a good email address, but I want my password and verify to not match. What does it need to be, 6 characters? I only typed in 5. Okay. They don't match, you're just gonna have to take my word for it, and hopefully I will, nope, I didn't see the error message. Whoops. What did I do? I don't think so. Let me see what I did wrong here. Verify, span class error. I must have typoed something. What did I do? Should I turn into a div? I guess I could turn into a div. Ah. Oh. Maybe a div would do better. Let's see. Come on, man. What are you doing to me? Where's my message? What did you do with my message? Where did it go? Oh, it says th text is not allowed here. Well, that's probably part of the problem. I thought it would have worked with span, honestly. I'm a little surprised that it didn't work with span. Oh, shoot. It still says it's not, so maybe th text is the wrong one. Maybe I need, about just like a p tag? I'm a little confused. This shouldn't be that complicated, but apparently I messed it up somehow. I don't think it's gonna work still. Yeah, what's up? Somebody see it? Would I need a what? Put a break? Like a line break? Not that I know of. I feel like there's just something really silly that I'm not seeing here. Which is probably something you all can identify with now that you've been programming for a little while. What am I missing? Maybe it's not text. Is it value? Was I using the wrong time leaf thing? No, it says that's not allowed either. Huh. Oh, well, it says the same thing up there, so I don't believe you, kind of. Can't get it to show up. What are you doing to me, man? That is going to drive me crazy. This is one of those things where it's gonna be super obvious when I figure it out, but it's not obvious to me right now. Does anybody else have any other suggestions on what I'm doing wrong? Could probably look it up. Can I look it up? Here, I might be able to look it up somewhere. Hang on. Sorry, I know I'm out of time. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. Prep work. Models. Yeah, I don't know. But then cheese. Yeah. Shoot. No, I'm not able to do it. Did I mess up my controller? Error. Oh, psh. I found it. I found the problem. If the user equals the verification, then I'm sending them to the index. Otherwise, so this is only working if it succeeds, not if it fails. That's it. It was in my controller. Sorry that I goofed that up, but I figured it out. My fault. All right. I'm 99% positive that that's going to fix it. If you want to wait for this to restart for the proof, then you're welcome to stick around for an additional minute. If you're tired and you want to go home, I'm not going to blame you for that one either. All right, one more time. All right, here we go. D-shook. Please do. No! Come on. What did I do wrong this time? Yes, definitely. I definitely am, because it's kicking me back to the form, right? It is kicking me back to the form. If I type in the same password, it would have sent me to the index. So I'm definitely, it's triggering the error, or it's not triggering this, I guess. So this should get added, but then it's just not showing up. And I don't know why. The span tag is showing up. Is error a bad name? I mean, I can change the name, but I don't think that's going to do it. There's some real silly thing going on that I'm missing. Yeah, I will, for sure. Ah, there it goes. I got it. Apparently, using error as the name of a variable in time leaf is a no-no. I didn't realize that until now. So, cool. I don't know why. Sorry that was so difficult. It was not meant to be, but we got it. It's there. We can all sleep tonight. Thanks for your patience, everybody. I hope you have a good weekend and a good week. I'll see you when I get back.